And what is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the channel. We are no longer in wild card week, man. We are in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and the Jaguars are still alive. We have the Kansas City Chiefs in that glorious Saturday window. Love that Saturday spot. Gives you an extra day of recovery the next day. Quick shout out to Brett Zimmerman for becoming a YouTube channel before I even hit the go live button. That's what's up, man. Thanks so much for coming back to the membership, man. Drop your Duval emojis. You know you got them. Shout out to everybody in here, man. Shout out to the first comment. The great boss makes a mistake. I don't know what that says. DJ M, what's up? What's up, Sea Breacher? Another channel member. What's going on, Chachi? He wants me to put over the full video to a Jaguar anthem I have. How about this? I'll try to put it up tomorrow, okay? I'll try to put it up tomorrow. But joining me for this show is recurring guest. We have Jason from Jaguars United. What's going on, bro?
What is up, man? What a time to be a Jags fan, right? I mean, dang.
Dude, it's a blast. I mean, I couldn't say that 25 minutes into that game, but, like we were saying before, the Jaguars got that touchdown to end the half, and then we were feeling a lot better, and then the Jaguars pull out just a crazy, crazy comeback to stay alive. And here we are. We live to see another week. It does not matter how you play in the playoffs. The only thing that matters is you get the W, get it any way possible, and the Jaguars did that, man.
Dude, I listen. Before we get into the game, man, I was me and you partying pregame at the tailgate. That's what I'm talking about. Like our tailgate is legit, and if you guys would have seen, our tailgate, that's how a professional tailgates a football game. Let's just put it that way. Am I right? So that was awesome. Then, like you said, I'm pretty composed. I can control my emotions pretty well. So during the game, even after the interceptions, I was like, all right, like we're still good. Like if we can score here going into the half, like a touchdown, like I'd be okay with a field goal. But if we can score a touchdown, like I actually feel pretty good about coming back from 20 in the second half. And it like literally worked out exactly how I had hoped and was dreaming. Maybe I was being like optimistic, but man, what a game, dude. Just glad that we were there.
Oh man, it was so much fun, and that's one of those games where it's like, these playoff games, and I was kind of telling my dad this. It's like, look, if we bought tickets to a really, really sweet concert, you're gonna have a good time. But when you buy tickets to a playoff game, you're either gonna leave up here, you're gonna leave way down there, and there's really no in between. So it's really, really risky going to these things. But man, like we left on a high, and like there nosebleeds are interesting seats. I always like it because you get to see this all that's going on in the field. But the really cool thing is like leaving the game and walking down the steps, and everybody, you're yelling at the people below you, the people above you, you're just duvaling all over the place. It was electric, and we were just going crazy. The Jaguars did not hold a lead in that game until the clock hit 0-0, and Riley Patterson nailed that kick in, and just an electric atmosphere. I know some people left. I know some people turned the game off, but that's why you never turn a game off. I mean, I watch all these games all the way through, and man, it was so exciting, and just what a special moment it was for Jags fans, because we've been through it all. We've been through some tough times, but so have the Chargers on the other end, and they suffered a loss, and they're out there firing people this week. They're pointing fingers. They're tinfoil hatting about the Joey Bosa penalty, and they're kind of in shambles right now. While we can kind of look ahead to Kansas City.
I mean, I think the difference is like they have no faith in their head coach, and we entirely trust Doug Peterson like going forward. Like just seeing his play calls, and I talk about this all the time on my show. People don't realize how much of rock paper scissors football is. Like when it comes to an offensive call versus a defensive call, like the defense calls a blitz, and the offense calls a screen, offense wins, right? So Doug Peterson just always seems to win the battle of the play calling. And you see coaches get cycled through and moved around to different teams because all these coaches call the same thing. So to see a guy like Doug Peterson have the level of success in play calling that he has in the NFL gives us like a lot of optimistic paired with a franchise quarterback. Like the Chargers have the franchise quarterback, but they don't have Doug Peterson. And that really, like, I did not expect Doug Peterson to make the impact that he had. Like, I wanted him over Byron, obviously, but like I did not expect him to come in and just make sweeping changes throughout the entire organization from the top down like he did. So shout out Doug Peterson. He should get coach of the year, but they're going to give it to Dayball for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much changed things overnight. Couple of super chats to get to. Shout out to Big Jags fan. He says, after that epic comeback, the Jags built so much character and love between the team. I believe they come out hot and win the game 33-7. Yeah, and this is, I made this point before. This is a better win than us winning by 24-14. Trevor throws 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. We walk away with a, pretty good win. I mean, that's a huge confidence builder going in there and doing what they did, the way they did it, coming back. It just shows that, look, always believe, like never give up. And, Trevor Lawrence grew up big time in that moment. And just, I mean, it's beautiful to see. And we have our freaking franchise quarterback. We don't have to go on here and debate like, oh, what's going on with Trevor? Like, do we need to look at different quarterback options? Is he not generational? No, like he is generational. Just took him a little bit of time to catch on. And, now every Sunday when we go to the Jags stadium, we get to see that quarterback play. And we don't have to sit there and be excited. Oh, Patrick Mahomes coming to town. Oh, Josh Allen coming to town. No, we have Trevor Lawrence. That's going to be the quarterback that's playing in front of it. It's so awesome.
Dude, I literally you were reading as you were talking. I literally was thinking the exact same things. Man, I remember going to the Jags games to watch Arizona and Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. I was like, yeah, I mean, at least we get to see them, right? Or going, oh, at least we get to see Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, right? It's just like sad that was what we had to do for so long. But now we have, like you said, franchise quarterback and like a bunch of weapons around him, and weapons want to come here and play with him. Like the fact that you're seeing guys like DeAndre Hopkins and Jalen Ramsey all of a sudden like, oh, we love the Jags. It's like, oh, okay. Like, oh, yeah. You do, huh? It's like all of a sudden these guys are all about the Jags. So listen, I'll take it, but it's just funny to watch from people like us that have been following the team for a long time.
Exactly, man. And shout out to Brett Zimmerman. He says, I was in tears after the field goal went in, and I was on the phone with my best friend, and he has never seen me break down into tears like that. Yeah, a lot of people broke into tears. I'm not at tear-breaking moment yet. If the Jaguars get into the Super Bowl, I think that's the moment where I shed tears. I winning a wild card game, it's not there for me yet. But I mean, what about you? Any tear shed amongst you?
Okay, so not for me. I got a little emotional for sure. I got a little emotional, but the person I was with started crying. I will say that. So I will give you that. So Brett, you're not alone because I was with someone that did the exact same thing, and I heard that a lot from people. Yeah, Super Bowl. I'm balling like a baby probably if we win the Super Bowl. But yeah, I'm like I'm pretty composed emotionally, so I like to reserve those special types of feelings for like the Super Bowl. But listen, I can't blame you. Like I said, I was with people that were crying and they were like, I don't know why I'm crying. And I was like, I know why you're crying. It's okay. So it's okay. Brett's awesome. I love Brett.
What's funny with me is I was on, like, when I was writing down my notes about the game for my video, I was getting teary-eyed then. Not in the moment where because when we kick it through, yes, I'm in celebration mode, man. Like, I don't necessarily get into the emotional mood. But yeah, if we win a Super Bowl, it's like, oh my, even if we just go to the Super Bowl, I think would be, crazy just being there, And what's cool if we win this week, I remember last, in 2017, what was so cool was like Blake Bortles up at the podium and you see the AFC Championship like logo behind that. That's what I'm really excited for, man.
Dude, the fact that we have like players that are just like I was looking at the cap, like, right? See, we've had the privy of watching the team the whole season. So, like, every game they lost at the beginning of the year, we're like, dang, they should have won that. And we all, like, kind of were thinking, like, this team's way better than they're playing. And we were talking about that every week on our shows. And then it's just like now they're playing at the level that they were earlier, but now they're executing. They're finishing the drives. They're finishing the plays. Now we're like, okay, that's what we saw the team earlier in the year do. Now they're starting to do it. They're starting to execute. They're starting to do those things. So it's like us as Jags fans, we knew that the Jags were this good all year. But the national media, they're like, oh, the Jags, they're getting lucky. They're winning games at the very end. They're having to come back from behind. So, we view the team way differently than the national media. And like, we know the team is talented. I mean, we have no cap room. We have no cap room. If your team has no cap room, you better have some freaking talent on that team. Like that's how it works. So we have talent on this team. And we've seen it all year, but now they're finishing games. And so now they're getting wins.
Yeah, and I remember, like, when we were 2-6 and whatnot, and I was sitting there, I was like, man, like, the Jaguars, I mean, by their record, they're not good. I mean, if you're 2-6, you are what your record
Right.
says you are, and you're not good. But I was sitting there, I was like, yeah, but I've seen 2-6 before, and this is way more entertaining than the other 2-6, 3-7 teams that I've been watching. And all of a sudden we go on like a winning streak, and then next thing, that's what was so weird about this year is like, in 2017 we were kind of had a winning record throughout the year. We went to 3-3. Then we went on a winning streak, and then we clinched the playoffs like 3 weeks before the playoffs started. This year, it was like it snuck up on us. I mean, in November, we weren't even really in the hunt graphic,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden the Titans start to lose and the Jaguars are playing really good football. And next thing uh, we're in it. So it's pretty awesome. Shout out to Ben with the super chat. Says Duval, who's hungry for Waffle House now? T Law, love from Christina and I will be watching from Disney Resort Saturday evening. Shout out to you, man. That's what's up. Sea Breacher, get to this one. United, you ready for snow in Kansas City? Yeah, it looks like snow's on the forecast. How you feeling about that?
So the weather's actually improved. Like when I first bought my tickets, it was like
You're
80%
going?
chance of
I didn't
rain.
realize you were going.
What?
You're going to Kansas City?
Oh yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, when I first got the tickets, it was like 70 to 80% chance of rain, 30 degrees. I was like, dang, dude. Like that's gonna be miserable. I was like, I hope
Yeah.
it improves. And as we've been watching it day after day, now we're down to 30% chance of snow at 35 to 40 degrees. So
Yeah.
things are looking up, boys. They're already turning tides in our favor. So I'm not so worried. It's supposed to be only 5 to 10 mile per hour wind. And the thing is, down in here in Jacksonville, the wind is what gets you. It's not the
Yeah.
temperature. The temperature is fine. It's the wind, and that wind comes through down here on the coast. Whew, boy, it gets cold. So I'm kind of counting on that not being a factor in Kansas City and being able to stay relatively warm. That's
Yeah,
my
I
goal.
mean,
We'll see what happens.
nothing would be nicer than beating Kansas City in the snow as a Florida team. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Oh
yeah.
man.
Oh yeah.
And like I'm not really all that much worried about like weather that much anymore. I mean, the Jaguars have won the cold weather games. I mean, New York against the Jets, I was a little bit worried. We overcame it fine. I mean, it was sloppy, because I mean the rain definitely had an impact, but we overcame it pretty well. We had a good game plan against it. And then, the last Jaguar game was, pretty damn cold. The Titans game, I think, was pretty cold too. So um I think we overcame it pretty well. Shout out to Jenny. The Jaguars bring back 1996 vibes. Yeah, I wasn't I can't say how old were you in
In
1996?
96, I was 6.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
I have no comment. Like 96, I wish I could have experienced the 90s. I was I'll take your word for it. That's kind of what I tell people, in regards to that. So I guess with you, man, when are you heading out to Kansas City?
Dude, I'm actually flying out tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
No
So,
way,
like,
dude.
hours from now.
I
So,
got you up late in the stream, man. I
but
went
I
to.
can
Have you been to Kansas City before?
No, I haven't. The only away game I've ever been to was the Broncos game that Gardner Minshew led the comeback win in like
Yeah, I was at that
2019
one
up in
too.
Denver. It's the only
Yeah,
away game I've ever been to. So I'm pumped.
I went to Kansas City in 2018. The Blake Bortles game where he was like throwing interceptions off AJ Cann's head or helmet, and
Oh yeah.
it
Oh, that was
was
not good.
it was a rough one. But the Jaguars were in a little bit of a losing streak against the Chiefs. I think they lost 6 straight games. Last time he won was in 2009. But this has been a streak breaking season.
Very
That's for
true.
sure.
Very
And
true.
it really feels like I get these vibes that we're kind of being overlooked right now. Um, I even listened to I didn't realize this, but I got recommended on YouTube that the Kelseys have a podcast together, which is like weird because they like talk about the NFL and stuff while they're playing in the NFL.
Right.
I think it's kind of weird, but like they were going through their biggest surprises, and Travis Kelsey's like, my biggest surprise is the Jaguars in the playoffs. Who would have thought that happened? All right, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
and
Like yeah. Yeah.
that was before the Chargers game too. So I don't know, like, and you get a look at it, and they're talking about, they're thinking about a potential, like, if they play against the Bills, it's a neutral site game. If they play against the Bengals, it's a revenge game after they defeated them last year. Like, in this number 1 seed, it's a true blessing because like you get to avoid the wild card round. But really, it puts you at a little bit of a disadvantage the week after because no matter what you're doing, you're playing against a team that just won a playoff game. So they're coming in hot. The Jaguars have basically won 2 playoff games because that Titans game was a playoff game. So they're coming against a team that's ready, that is, has a lot of fire right now. And, and quite frankly, the Chiefs are probably going to have to knock off some rust to start this game. As you kind of see with some of these teams. I mean, last year, both the number 1 seeds were one and done. So I don't know, man. I think this is going to be an interesting one from that respect.
I mean, I think the game is a lot closer than people think as far as like talent between the two teams. And, we know that because we follow football pretty closely. The key for the Jags is going to be like, can they get pressure? I think they're going to have to get pressure from Josh Allen on the offense's right side because that's where the Chiefs are kind of weak. Is their right? And listen, by weak, I mean like that's just like the weakest part of their offense. Like their offense is good. Their offensive line, dude, people do not talk about how good the Chiefs offensive line is. Like people, like they have a really, really good offensive line. And if you're going to get pressure on Mahomes and try to get him to get uncomfortable and outside the pocket, then you're going to have to get it on the right side of the offense. So Josh Allen usually plays, to that side and hopefully he can get pressure, and you just got to kind of try to control the clock if you can, which the Jags can do. They can go on these nice sustained drives, which is one of the reasons why they're playing so well recently. But they're going to have to do that against the Chiefs because the Chiefs can score in a hurry, and those teams always suck to play. So you got to control the ball and try to get some pressure from Josh Allen on that right side.
Yeah, and this is another one of those games where, like, we talk about how you going to stop Mahomes, how you going to stop Kelsey. Like, it's hard to. I mean,
Yeah.
you pretty much had to account for the fact that you're probably gonna have to score more than 28 points because they're gonna get theirs. Like Patrick Mahomes, you just had to kind of get lucky with him and just hope he has an off game. Because other than that, I mean, he's a really hard quarterback to play against. I know last time, like the Jaguars, and this is what kind of drives me nuts when like some national guys cover this because they haven't watched a lot of the Jaguars games. So what they're doing is they're going back and rewatching that Chiefs game, and then they're like, oh well, Jaguars, they can't play zone defense against this team. They get no pressure, and we're a completely different team since then. Now
Yeah.
the Jaguars have been doing a lot better job about getting pressure on the quarterback. I mean, last time they played them, Josh Allen was in this really, really weird lull where like he just wasn't doing a lot. And I know Tony Vaselli alluded to the fact that, maybe he was injured, during the year and they just didn't really say anything. And then now he's just been playing at a lot higher of a level. I mean, Arden Key's been doing good. The whole defensive scheme has gotten better. Mike Caldwell has gotten better. He's learned how to use his players a little bit better. Like Lloyd against the Kansas City Chiefs, he was just terrible. He got benched, and then now we're kind of we know how to use our linebackers a little bit better. But we're a completely different team from then. After that game, the Jaguars have been 7-1 since then. So, which is the same exact record as the Chiefs since that game. So, like you said, I think the talent level is a lot closer, than they believe. I mean, I think it just headlines with Patrick Mahomes. They got Patrick Mahomes. He's great. They got Travis Kelsey. He's great. They have Chris Jones. He's another real game record. But, outside of that, I think their back seven isn't great. They do, when it comes to their pass defense, their pass defense is really led by their defensive line. But if their defensive line can't go out there and get pressure, their back seven is very, very susceptible. So Jaguars, in that respect, they have to be able to, protect and Chris Jones is a complete game wrecker. I mean, I think he has like 15 sacks on the year. Just ridiculous from a defensive tackle. So Jaguars definitely have their hands full, but I really think with this game, as long as the Jaguars do their assignments, our guys catch their balls, our guys cover their guys, like if it could literally come down to a Doug Peterson masterclass. If Doug Peterson can outcoach Andy Reid, that could ultimately be the difference in this game.
Yeah, I mean that's really like going to be the tough thing to do because Andy Reid out coaches everybody, it seems like. But you're right, Doug Peterson is almost seems like he's operating on that Andy Reid level. A thing that I was looking at that I like didn't really notice until recently was like the Charger or the Chiefs don't have like a lot of amazing wins this season. Like they've only lost like 3 times, but their best wins are against like the teams with the teams that went the furthest in the regular season. Their best wins are the Titans, the 49ers in week 7, and like the Bucks and the Chargers. Those are their best wins. They haven't beaten anybody that the Jaguars are worse than that they've shown that. Like, yeah, they played the Bengals, they played the Bills, they lost to both of them. So it's like the Chiefs are kind of the team I wanted to play. Like, I didn't want to play the Bills or the Bengals. Like, I'm kind of glad we're playing the Chiefs, like, because the wins like aren't great for the Chiefs this year. I mean, the Raiders. I mean, that's another good win according to their schedule. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens when they play. I mean, you're right. Doug Peterson, let's see what you got.
Yeah, and a quick shout out to Christopher Frantz for becoming a YouTube channel member. Shout out to you, man. Drop them emojis. And by the way, guys, I am here with Jason from Jaguars United. All of his links are down below. He does 2 to 3 live streams per week. He'll be at the Jags game. I don't know if he's gonna give us any content from there. I'm hoping he puts together a little bit of a vlog so I can see at least put together a string of plays, man. I want to see where you're sitting at. I want to see what kind of time you're having.
So I got someone going with me who is going to help me. All right. So
Hell yes.
I have an unpaid assistant. All right. So
There you go.
we're gonna try to see. I'm terrible at social media. It's not. I have nothing against it. I just never think to like video or take a picture, and it's like my downfall. I swear.
Yeah.
But I got someone going with me that's going to be like, hey, we're doing this. So my attempt is to be better at it for this trip, but we will see when I get back.
And I'm a lot better at doing like kind of the vlogs when I'm kind of by myself because I feel weird if I like the other day I joined you at your tailgate. If I just hopped in there and was like start recording everybody, I feel like fucking weird. Like, but like, yeah, kind of had to go with the mindset of okay, this is what I'm gonna do. But it's hard for me at Jaguar games because like I'm so boring at the games. I sit my ass in the seat the whole entire game unless I had to take a piss because I've been drinking a lot. You know, I feel like I'm not very entertaining when I'm there, but you know, I've tried to put out as much as I could, but you know, it's
I mean, we saw them there. I mean, some people are just out there just grinding the content, dude. And
oh,
like,
I know, man.
you
I
know,
mean,
it's
shout out to
like
Min and Teal, like Brett James put together, Dunn and Drew. I mean, they're killing it. I'm just like,
yeah.
I feel like I'm not as entertaining as them, man.
The thing is, and this is what always comes to fruition, is like in the off season, it's gonna be like just the people that are consistent. And these people, like there's a bunch of flash in the pan type people that'll do content for like a month or so or 2 months, but it's hard to be consistent with content. It takes like a certain level of grind that some people aren't willing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, you have to be really passionate. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't get into it because it's like you like YouTube. You have to get into it because you really like the Jaguars. So
Right.
you gotta
Exactly.
you gotta stick through it. You got to go through the 5-11 seasons. I mean, we've been through crap, man, and it's been and you do the film breakdowns. You get to the point where it's like, all right, guys, no more film the rest of the year. Like we'll talk. We'll do one show a week. We'll talk about who we could draft. My favorite time was when it was you and Joey during 2020 when he did the tank top every live stream
that
when he
was
did a
fun,
tank for
dude.
Trevor.
The tank for Trevor. We were tanking for Trevor the whole season. No one celebrated that Jets victory over the Rams harder than we did. We were like, we wanted Trevor Lawrence like when Trevor Lawrence was a freshman at Clemson. It was 2017. I'm pretty sure this is right. Okay. I'm pretty sure like 2017, Trevor Lawrence was a freshman. And I was like, dang, dude, our team's really good. But I would almost considering tanking for that guy. I swear. I was like, I would almost consider tanking for that guy. And obviously when they made the run to like the AFC Championship game, I was like, okay, maybe we're fine. I was, but there was moments there when I was watching Trevor Lawrence in 2017, especially toward like the middle of the season, where I was like, Trevor Lawrence is going to be a top quarterback in the NFL, like 1, 2, or 3. So whoever gets him is going to be like a really good franchise for a while. And the fact that we somehow stumbled into getting Trevor Lawrence, like, still baffles me to this day. I'm still not over the fact that somehow we stumbled into Trevor Lawrence. I don't know what to say about it. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, I feel the same, and it's hard because I felt the same way as freshman year. But like, how do you forecast? Okay, we have to suck in 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to and it's so hard to get. We saw how hard it is to get number one pick. It takes everything kind of falling your way. And, it kind of proves that Jaguars aren't the most cursed franchise out there because, like, we have never had the number one pick before then. And the first year we got it, Trevor Lawrence was
Yeah.
available. I mean, I definitely at this point feel like the Jets are the most cursed franchise because, I tune in with like Jets video creators a lot. And, like, man, their conversations right now suck because they beat the Rams that year. Because now they're talking about, okay, who's going to be our quarterback next year? Like, okay, our head coach is is kind of a lame duck. We have to bring in an offensive coordinator knowing that the head coach might get fired next year. We have no quarterback to offer the guy. Like, they're like going through right now, including a 7-game losing streak to end the season. That freaking sucks, man. Like,
Yeah.
and you can't, as good as they were like 7-3 at one point, and they choked it away by losing 7 straight games. And that's not progress. It sucks. And that could have been us, but now we're looking at it and we're talking about uh is Lawrence better than Herbert now?
Yeah.
Is Lawrence like how is he truly top 4? Can he, because right now where the situation is, if Trevor Lawrence goes to the Super Bowl, I'm ready to put him at number 2. I'm ready to put him above Burrow and potentially above above Josh Allen. I don't know if I'll be able to do that with Mahomes this year just yet because Mahomes is just so creative, but I mean, it's so cool
But think
seeing
about it,
just
though. Think about it. If the defense goes out there and shuts down Mahomes and the Jags win, how are you viewing? I know it's hypothetical, but how are you viewing Mahomes Lawrence if the defense goes out there, shuts down Mahomes, and Lawrence wins the game?
oh, if we're winning by 10 in the fourth quarter, I'm gonna be putting all kinds of tweets on Twitter that are just like, and that's what's funny is like people like they'll come back to me and they'll find tweets and they'll be like, oh, like look at this tweet. I'm like, dude, that was in the middle of the game. No tweets should count against you if you tweet something in the middle of a game. But yeah, it depends on, that's the thing. Like if Trevor Lawrence just completely balls out and last game was so awesome from him, and just the interceptions were so fluky. Like Chargers were getting so lucky because they really weren't doing that good at the beginning of the game. They were just getting gifted just tremendous field position,
Yeah.
and they were getting lucky with the flags and just horrible. Like that, one of my greatest fears this game is that officiating is horrible because like, oh my god, it was so bad this weekend, just like so bad, and I can't take another 2017 where officiating takes us out of it. So I'm hoping it's better this game.
I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if you look back at like all of the past AFC or NFC championship games, there's always some like weird officiating at the end of the game. Like
Yeah,
it's weird. It's weird. I don't know if I don't know if the refs like get involved in like the regular season, but it kind of seems like toward the playoffs, the refs get more involved in like the outcomes of the game.
yeah,
I don't know, but I hope that's not the case. I mean, you can blow someone out and not have the refs not impact the game, but if it's holding after holding after holding, getting in those long pass down situations is not good for any team. So just don't hold. I mean, Chris Jones is really good. Carlos Dunlap, that he's old man. He's my age, and he's dominating. I mean, it's their D line is good. Their team is like weird. They're not the traditional Kansas City Chiefs. They're like good on the O line and D line.
yeah,
It's like they've never been that, but they also have Mahomes, but they're making it work with some budget wide receivers. Their defense is getting pressure with like their front seven. I mean, Andy Reid, man. I feel like every time we talk, we always end it with like, yeah, Andy Reid versus Doug Peterson. That's what it's going to come down to because
yeah.
they're both just really good coaches.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see. Huge shout out to It's Reese real quick, the OG guy, man. He's been here forever. And I know he's
Reese
over
is
on your
good.
channel too.
Mhm.
He says, I'm pumped about where our Jags are and is headed. I always said that for our Jags to get respect in this league, we have to win and shock the NFL world, which they are doing now. LFG Jags. Yeah, and right now we're not a lot of people aren't giving us a chance. And I don't mind people picking against us. I just hate when guys like Shannon Sharp in front of 30,000 fans and kind of pools. It's like, dude, like at least be informed. Like, and I don't like to go off too much about those guys because like whatever they say is whatever. But just like the misinformed stuff. But yeah, like man, it is really fun to be here. It is really fun to sit here and talk about the freaking Jags in the playoffs. But going back to your point about just the refereeing and stuff, like I do like a year ago today, I probably would have said like no way things are like fixed, but some things went into my mind. I mean, one thing now that Vegas is getting super involved and now sports gambling is ramping up, it makes you wonder. And I watched on Netflix, like there's that series called like Untold where they dig into like sports stories. And there's one about the ref in the NBA that was like fixing games. And like, he was like, oh, he basically said that I can swing a game by 8 points, about my calls. And, he even said in that video that like the NBA at one point they told him to come down on a certain kind of foul. I forget which foul it is. And then one time he called it on Michael Jordan. And then what's his face came up and like Phil Jackson was like, "What the hell are you doing?" He said to him, like, "Dude, they want to come down on this." He's like, "Yeah, they do, but not against him." So basically, like, so there's that. And then um I don't know. And then the whole like market stuff. It's just I don't know. And the fact that here at the end of the day, the NFL is not legally written down as a sport. It's written down as entertainment. And in entertainment, you can legally like fix things and script outcomes. So I don't know. I don't and I'm not saying that like before the games, like, they have to put out what their plays are going to run and all this stuff, but there could be conspiracies and games could definitely be controlled. Now, this last one was curious because all the calls were going against the Jaguars. And then at the very end, they called that flag on Joey Boza. I don't know. I think it was just a terribly officiating game, I think, at the end of the day.
I mean, it's I'm always the dissenter. I try to view it from the point it is hard out there for refs. And the reason why they mess up so much is because they're like tiny humans standing on a large field with big humans. And imagine trying to like make calls. It is hard, but the you have to like at least be smart about it, right? Like not letting the Miles Jack play on. Like that's something like anyone with like logic would do, right? And it's like you got to put your best officials in those games. You can't have officials in these games that are making like erroneous errors left and right. Like there are good officials out there. Get them for those important games. And it's the whole thing about officials not being full time. Like what? Like what are
Yeah.
we doing? Like
Yeah. It's
like
so
that
dumb.
that literally like we're gonna look back at one day and be like, yeah, we should have probably mentioned that more. Like, why aren't you using full time officials? Like, you're $1 billion operation, like
Yeah.
billions of dollars. So I don't know, but look, man, we'll see. If you play well enough, you can overcome officials. That's what
Yeah.
the coaches are telling the Jags. That's the message in there. You just got to play well.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. We'll get to some super chats here. We got 12 total dollars from Christopher Fronts. No comments, but appreciate the
Nice.
donos, man. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence's him. Says calling it Jags versus Bengals in a championship. I feel like the Jags surprise everyone and own the Chiefs this weekend. Knock on wood. Dude, I could see it happening. I would love to play against the Bengals. I think those are two franchises that almost kind of mirror each other. Doormats for the longest time, not in the biggest market. Then they bring in the quarterback at number one overall, and it just changes the entire franchise. It's just really excited to see. Thank you so much for the donation. David Bryan threw in a $5 donation. He says, regardless of to what the final score is, Jacksonville has gained recognition and respect in the NFL. We deserve this one. BKC. Yeah, that's the thing about this year. Now going into the offseason, we're now going to be everybody's favorite to win the AFC South. We're going to be that like trendy Super Bowl pick going forward. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot more fun at offseason. I think we're only going to get better because we were a year ahead. We add Calvin Ridley to the mix. Hopefully, we're bringing Evan Ingram on an extension. We have all our draft picks, so it's gonna be a fun time for sure.
I was waiting for a good time to ask you this, and this seems like an appropriate transition. All right. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
All right. Would you bring in DeAndre Hopkins in lieu of re-signing Evan Ingram?
Oof. I don't know. I probably bring like the thing about D Hop. You need to do your homework. We need if he wants to come here, we need to sit there and do our homework. I don't know though because
I
like
mean,
with the way Evan Ingram is playing at his age, he's only getting better and better, and he's really really important to this offense. I don't know. I keep Ingram if I'm being honest. I keep
so
Ingram.
this is what I think gets people, and I'm still on the fence, but I think what gets people is that he's classified as a tight end. So the fact that he has that tight end classification kind of makes us think that he plays a different role than what a lot of these receivers play. But in reality, not only does Evan Ingram play mostly a receiver type role, but Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and Marvin Jones actually play a lot more of a blocking receiver role than most receivers.
Yeah,
So like
D Hop can block too.
the positions are
Yeah,
like muddled both ways. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like they run a lot of plays with Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and Marvin Jones Jr. and Evan Ingram lead blocking on pass plays. So on screens and stuff and run plays out to the edge. Doug Peterson likes blocking receivers. So that might be what ends up giving Evan Ingram the edge. But if you can find the salary point about the same, think about having like DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk out there. That's kind of like what the Miami Dolphins situation is, or the Bengals situation is with these top tier receiver cores. Like, give that to Trevor, and then now we're like on the level of these other teams that we want to be on.
yeah, yeah. And with D Hop, he's actually a pretty good blocker. He's just an overall really well-rounded wide receiver, even though he doesn't have any of the elite, traits when it comes to like necessarily size or speed. But like the thing you have to ask yourself, and me or you can't answer this. If we tried to act like we knew, it would just be ignorance. Is what kind of because you're trying to hold a culture here. You're trying to instill a culture. Is D Hop a good culture fit? Is he a guy that is he going to whine when he doesn't get the ball? Is he going to sit there and pout when things don't go his way? Or, is he because Evan Ingram isn't like that. Evan Ingram's the kind of culture guy that we want to bring in. And also you got to wonder like, okay, if you give Evan Ingram and D Hop the same kind of money, what kind of draft pick are you giving up for? What kind of draft pick is D Hop going to take? I think D Hop's going to demand a high pick because if you look at free agency this year, the wide receiver group, it's really, really bad. It's like Alan Lazard, DJ Chark. It's like Juju Smith-Schuster. It's like not good. So I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on it.
I mean, it makes the Christian Kirk quote overpay make more sense looking at how this free agency class is really weak. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. And again, I'm on the fence about it. Like I go back and forth. And the good thing about it is we can just say, you know what, let Doug make the decision. He's the one calling the
Yeah.
plays. Whatever Doug and Trent Baalke come up with, like. But I was just putting the thought out there that like you could probably realistically get those two guys on this roster for about the same amount of money. Maybe
Yeah.
Hopkins a little bit more money. I think the Cardinals would actually give up less draft capital in the trade if you're willing to take on his contract, which is like, again, Ingram's going to be expensive next year, which good. He earned it. And that's good. I'm glad. But Ingram's played so well. He's almost played himself into the tax bracket of DeAndre Hopkins. I guess that's my only point.
Yeah, that's a good question though. I never really thought about that. Shout out to everyone here, 259 people in here, man. Please drop your likes for me for the YouTube algorithm. Also, I have all of Jason links down below. Follow him on YouTube, also Twitter. Give him a follow. Get to his couple super chats here. We have Trevor Lawrence's him saying, "I also want Trevor Lawrence versus Burrow rivalry to heat up. And as a Clemson fan, yes, bring in D Hop." There you go. If you're a Clemson fan, one of my buddies is a Clemson YouTuber, and he's like live streaming the Jaguars game, rooting his ass off for the Jaguars because you can imagine we have 3 Clemson starting guys on our offense with Tyler Shadley, ETN, and Trevor Lawrence. It's like literally what is that like 38% of our offense is Clemson guys, which is actually
good math there.
Actually pretty funny. I'm an accountant, dude. I can do this stuff. Shout out to Tekken is my world with the $5 donation. Off topic, what do you think about Frank Franchi's calling a game-winning field goal last week? I can't stop watching it for real. Yeah,
Wait,
Fran's
can I
doing a good
answer this?
job.
Can I answer
What's
this?
up? Yeah, yeah,
Because I
yeah.
think I have a really informed, intellectual answer for this. Okay. All
I
right.
really
This
want to
this
hear it.
moment hit me. I saw a message board talking about it. People were dumping on Frank Frangie until the call we had this week with Al Michaels and Tony Dungy. After that, people were like, whoa, wait a second. This dude's awesome. And now we're having this tidal shift of support for Frank Frangie when people were dumping on him in the weeks previous. I'm
Yeah,
glad Frangie's getting the recognition he deserves because he gives a lot back to Jacksonville. He's kind of like he's not a local guy, but he at least tries to embrace the locality of Duval County and Jacksonville. I like
yeah.
Frank Frangie, so I loved Frank Frangie and the sounds of the game. I don't know if you watched that, but
Oh,
whew,
of
that was good.
course. If you're a Jaguars fan and you don't watch Sounds of the Game, I mean, you must be like
Yeah.
you must just be against the Jaguars organization or their social media part. I don't know, because it's like some of the best like pieces put together in sports when it comes to just something a team puts together. But it's awesome. And it's hard for me to with Frank. I actually know Frank personally. I knew him growing up. My dad's friends with him. Awesome guy. With me, it's hard for me to really judge because I've never listened to a full broadcast. I've never because I don't think I can even listen to them in Orlando. But I'd love to listen to a full game by them. I wish I could get like a listen like during work or something like that. I'd love to like hear their calls. But yeah, I love Tony Baselli. I love Jaguars Monday with Pete Prisco, Tony Baselli and the crew. It's a really, really good show. But
I mean,
yeah, I mean,
Frangie, Baselli, and Lagerman are about as good as you can get. Like those
yeah.
are like because Baselli and Lagerman freaking are like they study film. Like Baselli, like you wouldn't know it about Baselli, but Baselli coached both of his kids in high school, and he was like the offensive line coach, and he like
Oh
is an
yeah,
X's and
he
O's
was
guy.
good. Yeah.
Lagerman is an X's and O's guy, and Frangie's just energetic. It's a great three group. I don't ever listen to them either, but I've heard them before for various reasons or whatever. And no, they're I've liked Frank Frangie for a while, so glad
Well,
to
it's kind of
see
like
that.
me with you. You're the X's and O's guy. I just sit here and talk like I know what I'm saying.
Well, and that maybe that's why I can recognize that Baselli and Lagerman are maybe I appreciate it more. I don't know, but they're really for me. They paint a good picture for me because they really describe it like accurately, and
Yeah.
so I mean, and because they know what they're talking about.
Brett Zimmerman with the $5 donation. Hey UCF, how would you feel about coming on my podcast? Yeah, man, invite me on. I jump on. Sometimes I'll turn down other like I'll have like a random Falcons fan. Hey, do you want to do an NFL preview with me? And yeah, I don't like with Jaguar fans. I hop on everybody's. But for some people, Jaguar fans, I support all the Jaguar fans. I'll just say that.
Yeah, you got to.
Shout out to Engraven, big Baltimore Ravens YouTuber, says go Jags. What's up, man? Steven with $2 donation. Dallas versus San Fran or Jags versus KC, which is the upset? Well, you know where you're at right now, right? You're in a Jaguar stream, so of course I got the Jaguars with the upset. Christopher France, shout to him, man. He must have stole his mom's credit card because he's just dropping donos without saying anything, man. Shout out, thanks for the donation, man. But yo, like, how are you feeling about this game? Do you think the Jaguars pull off the upset, or do you think that we go home holding the L after this one?
I think the Jags have a better chance than the national media is making it out to be, but I think the Jags have the exact chance that everyone here in the area feels like. We know they have a chance. They just have to play well. We've seen them play well. They just, during this winning streak, they've either played well the entire game or they've played terrible in the first half and played well in the second half. So if this is one of the games where they play well throughout the entire game, then I think our chances are really good. It's hard for me to predict. I know it's boring, but
Yeah,
I don't know what to expect.
When I do previews, I don't do predictions because it's
it's like
you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I really want to win, and the Jaguars have a chance to win, but like I can't predict turnovers. I can't predict
right.
what kind of stupid penalty we might cost. When the Jaguars played, like we got a touch on Evan Ingram, but Cam Robinson was downfield and we can only settle for 3. Like Riley Patterson went 1 for 3 on field. It's just so hard to predict. It's like, I hope we win. If we have such a good chance to win. I mean, if we play our game and, we have the quarterback, we have the head coach. I mean, that's really what you need through these playoffs. And we have the chance. It's just I don't know. Like
It's
we'll see.
I mean, it's like this past week, like the Chargers and Herbert had one good half of offensive football, and the Jags and Lawrence had one good half of offensive football. And the Jags half of offensive football was just barely better than the Chargers. So it's like, who could have
Yeah.
predicted that? Like, yeah, like we could have said that, but we would have never seen the 5 turnover or the 5 turnover differential. Like that stuff. I mean, how can you even predict that? But it's what you'd hope. Like the Jags played 1 point better than the Chargers did, and that's all it took. So I hope that happens again, I guess would be my answer.
Yeah, the thing that scares me is we are in playoff mode and we have playoff Peterson. So you never know
Yep.
what kind of play call he's gonna draw
Yep.
up. But dude, Doug Peterson is at his best in the playoffs, man.
Yep.
Like he is in his bag. Like we've got some kind of crazy play coming this weekend that's gonna be terrifying because it's either gonna work out awesome or we're gonna sit there being like, dude, what the heck was he doing on that play call?
Dude, Logan Cook. There's something fishy about Logan Cook recently.
Dude, I
Like
didn't realize because I was in the stadium so early. He throws with the wide receivers before the games with Trevor Lawrence, and he has a cannon, dude.
dude, I've
You would never
been
be able to tell he's a backup. We would never be able to tell he's a punter.
dude in the since the day we drafted him, I like looked into him, and one of the things about on his like evaluation was that he was a high school quarterback. And I was like, "What?" And so I was like, I actually went back and watched him in high school playing quarterback. And I was like, "Dude, this dude," and he was bigger than everyone else. He had a cannon. I was like, "Dude, this dude looks like a legit quarterback." And so I've always said that. I was like, "Dude, Logan Cook has a cannon. Like he's been a high school quarterback. He is like wasn't just a high school quarterback. He like looked like a man amongst boys out there in high school." So the fact that he like turned into just a legit punter doesn't surprise me. The play where the ref tackled Logan Cook, I got so heated. I was like, "Don't you dare touch Logan Cook! I will not." Like, listen, there's not a lot of people I will risk my record on, but if you touch Logan Cook, I will come out of the stands and I will fight you because Logan Cook is everything that's right with the Jaguars.
Yeah, it's and I'm feeling it, man. 4th and 12 from our own 40. I mean, these guys send the rushers. You got the gunner going out there. The gunner can. Oh my gosh, that'd be
Yeah,
they're
Agnew.
gonna go out there and be like, what's Evan Ingram doing as the gunner? Like, what's Christian Kirk doing? No,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll see, man. It'd definitely be interesting. Trevor Lawrence is him with a 2 ordination. Doug Pearson, better win Coach of the Year or it's rigged. Yeah, it's gonna be a tie between him and Ryan Dable, and the tie is gonna go to the market. Tie's gonna go
yeah,
to New York, probably is what it's looking like. But whatever. It's these off-season awards. We're gonna win the Super Bowl with no Pro
exactly,
Bowlers, no all pros,
exactly. That's
no like that's what I want to do, man. It'd be I don't get too bent out of shape about it because I don't know how the voting goes. Like, I don't know if it's still like fan votes or like how it works, but I don't know. It's the whole system's just kind of, pretty stupid.
It's trash. It's trash.
But shout out to Steven. He says, your channel is awesome. Thank you. I live in Gator country, so I see a lot of Jags fans. I'm rooting for Jacksonville, the Chiefs and 49ers going down. Yeah, man. And we got one more. Christopher now with a 5 donation. Now he throws in a Duval. I love it, man. Thanks so much, Chris. You've been very, very generous tonight. Now we gotta expose something on Twitter today. You may or may not have been called ugly. I don't know what happened there.
It's I was I will not. I'm not going to sit here and act like that. I ever admit not to be. That's what like I took offense about. It's not like I'm going around bragging that I'm all these things he said I wasn't. Okay, that's fine. I have a lot of deficiencies. I will tell you right away. So I don't think it's hard for me to take it personally because okay. I'm like Trevor
Yeah.
Lawrence. Good, right? You see the whole thing? He's like, good.
Yeah, I like that.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with me, I mean,
Good.
I have a lot of downsides to me too. I mean, like punctuation, terrible
Yeah.
at punctuation. I can't seem to get my lazy ass out of bed in the morning.
Oh,
Um,
you know what? I've been meaning to tell you that. I'm glad someone else did. I was waiting for the moment to actually bring that up. But yeah, if you could get out of bed more often, I would really, I'm just food for thought.
yeah, but that was pretty funny. He goes, all the Jaguars YouTubers, they all look terrible, and I'm like, oh, we're not all bad, And he goes, no, you're good. You're. He was talking about looks. He's like, you're good looking. The rest of them, I'm like, oh, that's the direction we're going. I'm like, All right. That was
Hey,
pretty funny.
look, Twitter, when you get involved in the Twitter conversations, you're accepting a social agreement that you may be wrapped into a cesspool of conversations with people. And you're like, okay, I may need to just back out of this one.
No, I just do this thing where like if I have people that consistently just like hate on me on Twitter, I'll block them, not because like they got under my skin, more so because like one day people are gonna be quote tweeting me and they're not gonna be able to see that tweet and they're gonna be like, "What the hell is this guy saying?" I'm like, "You lost your right because you're a straight
Oh,
hater."
I didn't
You
think
know what I'm
about
saying?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's I like that. That's a long-term thinking. That's very wise, right? You can't let them capitalize off you. I like that. That's good.
yeah, exactly. So they're gonna see me getting quote tweeted around because sometimes I there's this random account. I don't know if you saw it. Like it was like most likes during the like most
I did
liked
see
tweets
that.
during a
I
game. That
did
was
see
pretty
that.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I liked that. I liked that. I do question some of their data because I know there's some thirst trap accounts out there that have way more Jaguar likes than some of those people on the list. So
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how accurate that list is, but maybe they accounted for that. So I don't know.
Yeah, but I made it on, so now I had to go up the ranks, man. I'm only
Listen,
at
I
number
get it. You're
7.
big time. You don't have to tell me, man. You're big
Yeah,
time.
but I'm at
Listen,
number
I'm just glad to
7. I
be
gotta
here. All right.
I gotta rise up, man. I gotta get to that number 1 spot because I'm sure some kind of prize comes out of it, out of you know.
Exactly. Listen, I'm just waiting for the Twitter. I've somehow evaded the Twitter mob so far.
Oh,
It's only a
I've
matter
been
of
a part of
time.
the
They're
Twitter
coming
mob.
after me.
If a certain group of elite Jaguarists start,
It's only a matter. Listen, the same with you, man. You're talking about tweeting during games. Sometimes I'm hanging out with the boys and we like start having a debate at the bar, and I'm like, all right, I'll ask Twitter what they think about this. It's only a matter of time before one of those tweets comes back to bite me, and the Twitter mob comes after
yeah.
me. But we've evaded it so far, so we'll
Yeah,
look
I
it
mean,
up.
I mean, because with me on Twitter, I'm not, and I know a lot of Jaguar fans like this, but like, I'm not a positive vibes only guy. Like, I'll tweet out stuff I don't like and just kind of call it out with the team. Like I put out today, like, they were talking about Aiden Hutchinson, where he's at, and like people were like, "Do you regret drafting Trayvon Walker?" What's his face put that out, Clay Harbor. And I'm like, I mean, looking back, I'd probably still, I know it's too early to call Trayvon Walker and say he's not worthy of it, but I'd probably still take Aiden Hutchinson. People drag me for it. People drag me for, I've been getting dragged a lot for like saying, like I'd probably cut Agnew next year. I guess that's, we were kind of talking about a tailgate. That's like a big, touchy subject, but we're gonna have to start like the Jaguars right up against the cap, and we're gonna have to make some tough cuts. And I even said to Jason before it, I'm like, look, if it comes down to Jamal Agnew or Roy Robinson Harris, I'm keeping Roy Robertson Harris, and then he goes out there and has like his best game of his career, like Roy Robertson Harris. So it's interesting.
I don't know why this is even a debate. I have to let me check something here real quick. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Do you know how many offensive snaps he played last week? Jamal Agnew?
11,
Four.
4. Oh my
Four
gosh.
offensive snaps. And one of them was a tunnel screen. He caught the ball. He had great blocking in front of him, and he slipped and fell for a gain of 0.
Yeah.
So I love Jamal
Yeah, that
Agnew.
was a terrible play.
Uh, it was there, but he just
Yeah, it
slipped
was
and fell.
there. Yeah.
But
No, yeah.
he's an amazing kick returner. I love him. If they find a way to bring him back, I would be pumped
Just not
because
under
he
his
is
current
one of the
contract.
best kick returners in the league. But as far as an offensive option, he played 4 snaps in the most important game the Jags have played this year. 4 snaps. And
I mean, you can
one of
lock that
them
if he
was terrible.
and you can lock that if he's on the Jags next year, it's not under his current contract. They're
Right.
restructuring.
Yeah.
A couple of things. We got $2 donation. Murtick says Duval from Cali. Shout out to you. Carson is asking about the Trevor Arrowhead diss. Oh my god, that's the most overblown. He complimented like Arrowhead and the Chiefs and the Jaguars in the same sentence, and now like the context is key. Context is key, I guess, is the
Yeah.
whole story behind that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure.
Shout out to Trevor Lawrence's Tim with notified Arch Nation. Thank you so much, man. First offensive play against Kansas City should be a deep ball to Zay for a touchdown, no matter the field position, and catch them off guard. LC KC defense sucks. Yeah, with me, like it's hard to even like like I just look all faith. Doug Peterson, do your thing. I can't even like predict. I know he has. When we had Nate Hackett, we could sit here and it was funny like because I'm like I'll preview games. I'm like we need to air it out all over the place, and it's funny because I just remember like pretty much all my time being on YouTube. I'm like we need to establish the run. We need to set up the play action. We need to roll the quarterback out because so oftentimes we don't have quarterbacks that can just stand in the pocket and just deliver all the throws. And that was just so awesome, man. I mean, we can do anything on offense. I mean, we really can do anything. And Trevor Lawrence can throw it everywhere. Etienne's a really good running back. Our wide receivers are good enough. Not necessarily elite, but I think they're good enough to be able to do a lot of the stuff that the Jaguars want to do. And they did a lot better in the second half. Like the first half of that Chargers game, they were getting clamped. I mean, I know
Yeah.
Trevor looked really bad, but dude, like they weren't getting open, and we got to hope to do better than that on Saturday.
I mean, back to the play calling. I mean, it's just like that 4th and 1 play where they came out in wing T and ETN ran like the jet sweep. I know it wasn't planned to hit there, but like the fact that they had ran that wing T formation enough times to be comfortable enough to run it one time. Think about this. How many times do you think they practiced that play? A bunch. They ran it one time all season. Not even that play, that formation. We haven't even seen that wing T formation. We saw it one play all season. Like, think about that. Like, that's a play they practice, and Doug Peterson's ran it one time. Like, that is mind-blowing to me. I love the wing T. If I ran an offense, that's why I say this all the time. I love Kyle Shanahan because his offense is like a modified wing T, but like fit for the offensive passing game. And it's beautiful to watch. Like the fact that Doug Peterson came out and had a wing T ready to go after a timeout on a 4th and 1 and converted it for 30 yards to win the game. That's when, for me personally, I already knew Doug Peterson was like elite, but I was just like, damn, this dude's on a different level. Like he saved that play for now. Like, I don't know, dude. Maybe it was the moment, but I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like I don't think enough people give credit to Doug Peterson for calling that initial because I think a lot of coaches, like Doug Marrone, for example, Doug Marrone would have been too scared to call that timeout because you have 3 timeouts. If you don't convert the 4th down, then you have 3 timeouts that you can burn to get the ball back. But he looked at it and said, okay, I'm burning my timeout because I don't like the quarterback sneak. I don't like, maybe it was a toss. I don't know what the kill play was. He called timeout, and then he put us out there in that wing T. And what's going on in the NFL now is that they're going under center, and then these wide receivers, tight ends, whatever, are pushing the quarterback in the back to go forward. And that's what they were expecting. They had 2 guys to be able to do it. But no, they go out wide. And, Asante Samuel Jr. was all over the field that game for better or for worse. I mean, he started out getting all those interceptions, and then they just started picking on him. I mean, there were a couple touchdowns that were on him, and including that play. Look, Asante Samuel could have won the game for the Jaguars. And they schemed it up to where all these guys were going to block. And then it was going to be up to Travis Etienne to be able to beat him, Asante Samuel, one-on-one. And all he did was take it down to the 15-yard line for like a 25, 30-yard gain. Just a crazy good play call. Ultimately won the game for us. And it was just such a crazy game. And I'm still buzzing from it. I still can't believe we did it, but we have another one coming up on Saturday. Dude, I can't believe you're going to be there. You must be just like super pumped. I hope you go eat some barbecue for me because,
dude,
I went there few years ago. It was some good stuff.
I know some people that are from Kansas City and they've moved here recently, and I was like, hey, listen, give me like the best places to go, and they gave me a list of food, and then I asked Twitter the best places to go, and there was like 4 or 5 of them that were like overlapping, and I was like, all right, so those are the places I was like, all right, I gotta go to those
like
places.
Q39 or Q something.
Yep.
Yeah, I went there. It was like, and barbecue is my favorite food.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All
so
right.
like,
What do you think?
Oh, it was so good, dude. Like I would just go for like whatever sampler they have, just sample all the meats. Sometimes
Okay.
they do like the 3 meat combos and,
Okay.
get your baked bean, get your sides. I mean, I just, man, just it's so good. And I
That
know over here, I mean, I love Four Rivers. That's like my favorite restaurant,
yeah.
but man, it's like some real freaking barbecue out there, man.
I was like, I'm that type of person. Like, if I'm gonna go somewhere good, I'm gonna get everything they have. So a trip for me is not just like paying for the flight, the ticket, and the stay. It's like I'm gonna spend a bunch of money at all these restaurants to try all the food they have. So it's like I have to budget out a little bit more than like the typical person. So I was like, all
Yeah.
right, you know what, we're just gonna do it. And I got friends that are like, oh, if we win, I'm going to Buffalo or I'm going to Cincinnati. I was like, I'm telling you right now, I can't afford to make that another trip. Like that's it. Like I'm done. Like this is it. Like
Yeah.
I'm
No,
like
people
this
try to
is
get me out to Kansas City. I'm like, guys, like less than a month ago, I had a wedding and a honeymoon.
it.
Like, unless you want to pay for flight tickets, lodging, per diem, I think I'm kind of out on it. But yeah, it's man, away games are fun. I've been to a lot of away games, and there's nothing cooler than going to an away game and winning there,
Yeah.
and you're
Yep.
walking out like the ultimate freaking champion. And
Yeah. Oh
dude, I
yeah.
hope
Oh
I
yeah.
hope nothing more than the Jaguars be able to win for you. And I'll be shouting you out during the stream for sure when I stream it on Saturday.
Dude, just wait till you see all my social media content, dude. I've had an awakening of social media.
Yeah, guys, follow him. I have his
Yeah.
Twitter link below. YouTube, obviously, and you're on Instagram too, right? What's your Instagram
Yeah.
handle?
Oh yeah. Definitely big Instagram guy.
Yeah,
Jaguars United _
yeah. All he does is post. I'm like, God damn, this guy posts way too much. You have to
I
slow
know.
down, man.
I
I'm
know.
pretty bad with Instagram too, dude. I'll go through a 3 week span where I don't post, and then I just like complete like I just post like 5 things in like 2 days. It's just how I roll. I don't know.
So
I
what
don't know
I
how to
do
do
is I
Instagram.
just post stories. So
Yeah,
like people that are like, "Oh, let's go check out his page." He's like, "Oh, he's got 2 posts." It's like, "Okay, I'm not like," but I literally like I'm a story poster. I don't really like to. I don't know. I like the story aspect. Maybe I should go back to
yeah.
Snapchat, but I like the story part of Instagram. I don't know why.
Yeah, it feels a little less professional. You don't have to like come up with a
Yeah,
caption and all
right.
that stuff.
Exactly.
We're gonna get to some super chats real quick, and then we're gonna end it here as we've been on for a little over an hour. Jason has to go to bed. I know after this he's gonna go right to bed not really.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
know
I
I know
can't wait.
you're a late guy. So
Yeah.
shout out to Josh Burns, $5 donation. I know we're focused on the playoffs, but who do you like as a prospect in a draft in the first round? I want Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver at Tennessee. He can fly. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I don't know if you have any comments. I don't know anything about any
I haven't
draft
begun to
prospects.
do my deep dive into the draft yet, but at first glance, I think we have to probably address secondary depth at defensive and offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, defensive and offensive line is always a need all over
Yep.
the NFL.
Yep.
I mean, you're constantly rotating
Yep.
defensive linemen. I mean, if you don't have good offensive line depth, then you don't have Walker Little at left tackle right now. You have
Yep.
like I don't know, like Josh Wells or something.
Yep. That's well
you need
said.
depth. So
That's well
yeah,
said. Could
yeah.
have said it better myself.
So
Because
yeah,
Josh Wells
Liz.
is starting for the Bucks at
Yeah,
the end
he's
of the
starting for
year.
the
Did y'all
bus in
see
place
that?
of Wirfs,
Yeah.
and
And AJ Can was starting for the Texans. So
yeah, ask Tom Brady how Josh Wells did in place of Wirfs. You need solid depth, and of
yeah.
course we'll sign Tyler Shatley next year to another 1 year deal.
Yeah.
He'll
Hey,
be on the team
keep him
until
here. That's your Walter
2069.
Payton Football Player of the Year nominee right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
there we go. Yeah, bring it home. People are gonna be like, winner is Tyler Shatley. Who the like those like big names get that award. You don't get any like backwood,
Yeah.
Clemson boy. Like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. Liz Woodard with the $5 donation. Jack's native living in LA. Feels good to be surrounded by these Chargers fans who are still pissed, dude. I bet. Like that'd be. I don't know how many Chargers fans there truly are out in LA, but I imagine there's some.
There's
It's got to be a
some.
good
There's
feeling.
probably some.
Yeah, I imagine there are. Shout out to Nima with a $5 donation. Last time against the Chiefs, Peterson was conservative, passing up fourth and short at midfield when we were down. You think he gets aggressive on Saturday? Oh yeah, he's an aggressive guy, and that was surprising about that game when the Jaguars, when he onside kicked it, then he didn't go for it on like 4th and 5. It's a little bit weird, but I don't know. It's a whole different game. I mean,
You know,
um,
it's I don't know if I was like in a blackout in the first half, But because I got home, recovered, woke up late, it was nice, and then rewatched the entire broadcast. I wanted to hear the entire broadcast. I totally forgot that freaking Doug Peterson went for it on like 4th and like 7.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, dude, what? Bro,
I
at least like try
remember.
a field goal or pin him. Like, your boy's out here like 4th and 7. Put the offense back on. It's like,
Yeah, it
whoa.
was really weird call. I don't know.
I was
4th and
like,
7. I was a little 4th and 7 when your offense doesn't really have truly a rhythm
yeah.
yet. I don't know, a little bit, and then you're in field goal range. Yeah, a little bit weird for me. I wasn't a big fan of that, but the game
Hey,
played
you
out the
gotta
way
take
it
the good
did.
with the bad with Doug Peterson. But all year, you gotta take the. Remember everyone was trashing on him because he ran the reverse with Jamal Agnew, and
Yeah,
Agnew
just do it in
dropped
the
it.
first half. Do it in the
Yeah,
first quarter,
exactly.
you know? That's the thing. Like, you don't want to do the reverse in the fourth quarter,
Right.
but that's Doug Peterson. Last super chat we'll get to before we end this one. And shout out to all 242 people in here, man. Appreciate you guys. Drop likes for me. I've
Yeah.
got all Jason's links down below, man. He goes live usually around this time. So you guys are going to always have some Jaguars content,
Yep.
with us on your subscriber feed. DC Real says, UCF, huge fan. Everything happens for a reason. LFG, yes. And I hope that reason is the Jaguars winning the freaking Super Bowl. We're 2 wins away from the Super Bowl right now. But we'll talk about that if and when we get there, man, because I can't
Hey, listen,
physically imagine
I've
that.
been thinking for the last couple weeks, like, hey, this could be like the last time we have a bunch of viewers because the season's gonna come to an end. People may drop off watching content. And I was like, they just keep going, man. So maybe
Yeah.
they'll just keep going.
Yeah. I mean, we almost lost the Titans game. We came back and won. Almost lost the, last week against the Chargers, obviously came back and won. I advise you, if you're watching this game, don't turn the game off early. Don't turn the game off early.
Yeah, I think we learned that. Yeah.
I saw someone at work today who's wearing a Jags pull. I'm like, yo, go Jags. And I was like, I was at that Chargers game. He's like, oh, really? He's like, oh, yeah, I turned it off in the first half and watched a movie with my wife. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Whatever.
say less. I'll be leaving.
I cannot relate to that.
Yeah.
But hey, some people, hey, whatever. But all right, guys, we're gonna end it here. Thanks so much for watching, man. Jaguars, Chiefs, Arrowhead, Saturday at 4:30 NBC. We're not having sleepy Al Michaels and Tony Dungy. I think I'm still hearing there was a flag down. There's a flag down somewhere in the back of my head.
And it's good.
Oh man. I didn't watch it, but I mean, from watching, I saw some of the highlights, and Tony Dungy just wasn't talking much. So I think that just Tony Dungy's energy probably brought down Al Michaels, and also just being old people maybe brought the energy down.
I didn't even notice it when I rewatched it. I like to rewatch the broadcast. Didn't even notice it until people started pointing it out on Twitter, and I was like, I guess that kind of was low energy, but I didn't notice it.
I don't get super into the broadcast. I'll be honest with you. Like
exactly.
People tell me after if it's I can tell if it's a really, really good broadcast.
Yeah.
Or I can tell if they're just saying stupid shit, and I'm like, dude, what are they talking about? But when it's, I don't get. I guess I create my own energy, but that's
exactly.
When it comes to a game-winning thing like that, you want a good sound bite, and it just wasn't that.
That's true.
So yeah, but all right, guys, thanks for watching. Go Jags! Drop likes on your way out. Let's beat the Chiefs.